This is Embody Safety with Eva, and today we will talk about creating a new nervous system map for receiving, support, and love. And I wanted to talk about this topic today because I often work with very sensitive, capable, and extremely self-aware women, and they often don't notice that they are relating to certain areas like love, relationships, or support from an old nervous system map. And they only start noticing that old map that is helping them choose familiar experiences that they have been used to in the past only when they slow down enough. So you can imagine this map or nervous system map for what we are allowed to receive as something that our system became familiar with over time when we were too young to know that the level of care and support that we were receiving is not the level of care and support that is available in the world or to us now in the present moment. It was just the level of care and support that our system got used to within our environment, the environment that we grew up with. So if our experiences involved emotional instability of people around us, or inconsistency, or scarcity, or lack of love and connection, then oftentimes through repeated experience, so you can imagine those experiences as data points that your system was collecting along the way, and if it experienced something over and over and over again, over time it concluded that this is as good as it gets. This is how life works. This is how life works for me. And those experiences got stored in our system, in our body as felt sense. And usually it's a felt sense of what life allows me to have or what life allows me to receive. So our nervous system stores those experiences as a picture of what is available, what is safe, and what is familiar, and what we can expect when we go out there and engage in relationships or look for opportunities, work opportunities, or sometimes we even, and I see this with very capable, high-achieving women, usually that old nervous system map also makes us choose specific career paths. So our system treats this old map for what we are allowed to receive as the only reality that exists. And oftentimes you will hear yourself say, this is how it goes for me every time when I'm in a relationship or when I find a partner. This is what always happens. This is the type of person I end up with, and I don't know why. Or in work, I always tend to end up in this type of work environment or in this type of position where it feels like everything depends on me and no one is supporting me. And of course, your experience may be very unique to you. And it feels that way. It feels like this is the only reality that's available to me because that's the only reality your nervous system or your body, your system as a whole became familiar with through repeated experience. So you can then imagine this map as something that guides your current experience of life, visibility, support, and it's made of all the data points that your system has collected. And sometimes we use this map, we look at it, and that old nervous system map is what filters the experience of life to us. So if I am used to emotional instability, then when I'm going to look for friendships or partnership, my map will take me to those odd destinations that are well known to me, which means that I will look for, my nervous system will very specifically and subconsciously look for, and it happens so fast that our conscious mind oftentimes doesn't have time to interfere or is not aware of what's going on and why we are drawn to or attracted to certain types of people or work environments. But our subconscious is working very hard to filter our experience of life so that we end up in those old destinations that feel safe and familiar to our system, because they don't rock the subconscious receive the subconscious level of what we are allowed to receive, what our body feels like it is allowed to receive. And so we encounter the same experience over and over again because that's what feels familiar. That's what our whole system is filtering our experience of life through. And then we conclude that this is the amount of love, care, attention that is available to me. And this is also where I hear women kind of generalizing their experience of love or life. And when you hear yourself say like all men are like this, or all or everyone in my career path needs to do this, and experiences like that, that's where I would get curious and be like, is it true that every single person is this way, or was I just drawn to people, or did I just notice, recognize, and was attracted to those experiences? And because our system believes through that old map that this is the only reality that exists, this is the only reality that's available to me, it also concludes that this is the amount of love that's available, and it begins treating that amount of support, let's say at work, or love or care in your relationships, as this is what I have to settle for or be comfortable with, because this is as good as it gets. So I just now want to move on. This was a little bit of explanation of what's going on, so that you don't feel like there is something wrong with you, or you are doing things wrong, or your system is broken. No, it's the other way around. Actually, your system is doing exactly what your system is meant to do, and that is to keep you safe. And it's keeping you safe by creating the experience that your body is familiar with. So I know it's a little bit counterintuitive, but at the end of the day, our nervous system is wired for survival and to make sure that we stay in environments that are familiar to us. And how do we start rewriting that old nervous system map? So another thing I often encounter in my work is that I work truly with very capable, very self-aware women, and they have a lot of information. They can explain why they do what they do. They can explain that their patterns, but the thing is that the younger parts of us, those parts of us that created that old nervous system map, so you can imagine them as the parts of your nervous system that went through those old experiences and created the felt sense that you now as adult carry into the world, those parts of us are not looking for more advice or more self-improvement. They are looking for someone who stays with them no matter what, no matter what's going on around. They want someone who finally feels stable. They are looking for that stable emotional anchor so they can finally rest. They can finally stop feeling responsible for people around them. They can finally feel your energy turn inwards instead of turning outwards and controlling the environment because you are afraid of creating the same experience over and over again. And we make sure that you don't recreate that old map, not by controlling the environment, but changing the level of love, support, and care that you are used to receiving. So those younger parts of us are looking for someone who stays, someone who listens, someone who acknowledges how hard their experience of the world was. And this is another area where I see very capable women kind of like skipping one step ahead and trying to create something new without acknowledging the oftentimes the resentment and hurt that got accumulated in their system through the old map. Because if you've been disappointed, if you've got disappointed over and over and over again, then there will be a younger part that feels like she cannot trust anyone. And that younger part needs to be met before we can go on and create new evidence or new experiences for her. So through those specific moments where you start meeting your system with new level of care, love, and attention, you create a new nervous system map. Because the nervous system is creating new map through relationship. And that's why in somatic work, we begin creating that relationship, that new relationship from the inside. So when the younger part experiences acceptance instead of pressure and support instead of being responsible for everything and everyone around her, that new destination, that new felt experience, that new felt sense is being stored on that map as a new destination, as something that's becoming increasingly available and familiar to you. It's like you are disrupting that old nervous system map, and suddenly you are adding a new destination, almost like a new reality where your system hasn't had the permission to venture before. It's like a whole new world starts to open up because now I'm not allowed or accepted or chosen only when I'm useful or when I'm valuable. I'm meeting myself when I need that support the most. And that means also when I'm sad or disappointed or scared or imperfect or still trying to figure things out, I meet myself with the same emotional stability and openness and warmth. And over time, through felt experience and real change that happens in the present moment, new map is being created that now your system is using to orient itself in the world and in relationships. And it's a map where suddenly connection was added as a new destination, or mutuality or reciprocity in relationships, or support at work, or being visible as who you are without the need to perform or change yourself in your career. Suddenly a new destination is there where you feel like who you are is enough in your career path, and you don't have to tweak yourself the way everyone else is, let's say. And this is how your system slowly opens to small moments of receiving. Those first small moments of receiving will happen inside the relationship you have with yourself and with your body. And they will look like you wake up and you notice that it's sunny outside, and suddenly you have more time and space to take that experience in, because you have acknowledged the old data points on the map, the times where you were disappointed or betrayed or felt unstable or no one is protecting you. And so your system doesn't have to brace anymore to prepare for the impact of those old data points again and again. Those younger parts felt heard and acknowledged and seen, and that created a little bit more space in your system to receive what is here now and to even notice what is here now. Because if we are bracing for the old disappointments, our system doesn't have space to notice what is already supporting us and the resources and people who are actually warm and available and who want reciprocity too. Or you cook yourself a meal and you actually notice how much care you are giving yourself, how well you are taking care of yourself. And that's when the younger part notices, hey, the adult or the present self that is taking care of me right now is not the same adult that was taking care of me back then. The person I couldn't trust, or the person who was emotionally unstable, or the person who didn't have capacity to want me and to choose me and to take care of me. Or you go for a walk and you simply enjoy it. You have this feeling inside of nothing needs to be done. This is just for me. I don't have to achieve anything. I don't have to prove anything. I just get to be here with myself. And in those moments of receiving is where that old nervous system map gets rewritten. So this is the work that, for instance, we do in the Sanctuary portal. It's very gentle, slow, and supportive somatic work. So this work, if you are doing this work, the work itself feels very supportive because we go only at a pace that feels good to your system. That feels like, oh, this is something I can receive without feeling flooded by the old emotion, or without feeling activated. And this work works because it is built through small, consistent moments of felt experience, and you are changing the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with receiving and support. And because it is the relationship you have with yourself, you have control over the process. We are not trying to change other people. We are not trying to change the past. We are simply showing your system, hey, there is this whole another reality that exists beyond what we knew. And what you've experienced is true. It was true for the younger part. And also, while honoring that, we are adding through lived experience new destinations on your map. So over time, your nervous system becomes more available to receive what is here and to notice and recognize what feels safe, what feels mutual, the opportunities that are the right fit, the connection that feels supportive and nourishing, because it is no longer bracing for what it has experienced. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. I would love, if you are willing to share, I would love to read in the comments about your experiences, maybe what the insights you took away about your old nervous system map or the map that you are creating. I will also link any resources that I think you might find supportive below. And I appreciate you being here today.